Hey boardies, welcome to AmassGames. My name is Simon. It's to look at rebuilding Seattle, reconstruct the Emerald City after the Great Fire of 1889. Now, as you can see, I'm filming this handheld. Very rare for me to do this. Very few videos I've made this way, for me at least. This is because this is a huge setup. What you need to be doing is stacking out these polyomino city tiles, these buildings, into respective decks. And then also the suburb tiles off to one side, round markers shuffled up as well, these round decks. You're going to move into round one initially. Everyone is going to take a player board, all different player colours. In terms of your pieces, going to place this in position 11. So that goes there. At the beginning of round 2, that's going to jump by 12. And in round 13, it jump by 12 again. And you're also going to take a marker here representing law. And every board is going to be unique because we're going to have a different name. So we've got a Pioneer Square here and 3 different laws. Over here, we've got Capitol Hill. We have 6 different boards you can play with, so lots of different variation. And over here, you can see I've already played this game. I'll talk to you about that later, but you might want to pause it and see how I got on. We have neighborhood and suburbs. So you're going to grab one of these boards. Like I said, they're all unique, and showing you what kind of amenities that you have. In this case, I've got some dancing, so entertainment, some shopping, which is over here. We've got some food eateries, some train stations, university, and like a bank. All of these are useful throughout the game through various motions, and it depends what you want to activate at a certain moment based on certain events represented over here. A round will end once one of these flip over, but let's go back to setup. So this is a 1 to 5 player game. If you're playing as a 3 as an example, you need an extension. More cards need to come out here. But as you can see, I've already placed out some level 1 cards down here too. These cards, such as this one with this people symbol, let you bump up this track, which is good, because as and when you're activating stuff, you can get yourself victory points, or choose to get victory points of money, or victory points of money again in this instance. But it's going to be where your population is at. So if you're somewhere like here, depending on where your cubes are, which I need to put out in a second, it might be the case that you might have, I don't know, 5, 4, and 3, or whatever it might be. But if your population is higher than that, you take off that difference, and that is going to be actually how much you're going to be getting in points. So if you're not high enough along this track, you will not be scoring anything. So you kind of want this down here and exceeding this. So you want more amenities than you have population. Otherwise, you'll not be getting victory points because you're not victorious. You do not have satisfied population. Okay, so over here as well, we've got some example cards, basically some cards that were played in the last game. I'll tell you how they work in a second. But landmarks. Everyone's going to take 3 of these. There's 15 available, so shuffle them up. And you're going to keep 2, discard another one, and take the respective kind of polyomino tile over here. This one you can see is not present because I've just played it out in a prior game, so I'll show you how that kind of worked a bit later on. But yeah, you can do an action whereby you can pay the cost to bring them out, and as you can see, typically getting victory points either then or kind of at the end of the game as well. Right, you also have a player aid, which you can flip over. So here's 2 of them. So one flipped over to see how they look, and let's go through the various steps of this game. We need to decide who's starting. So whoever has built something, whatever you want to decide as to be starting player, is going to take one of those starting markers. They're going to get 8 money. The next person gets an extra additional $1, etc., going around the table. And you're going to keep on playing until we finish round 3. And each round is triggered once this event stack, like I said, is empty. So these cards I tend to flip over to show that we've triggered an event. So on your turn, what you can choose to do is, let's go through these steps in order. You'll be increasing your population, so you always do that initially, so already up to 11, as you can see down here. You can buy 1 suburban tile and or building, so you're going to grab the top stack over here. Once the stack runs out, just grab some more. Once they've all gone, you can't take more of them. Place it anywhere you like around your suburb. So let's say we stick it over here. Now where you want to stick it is really up to you. But right now we've got various objectives, so we're trying to get eateries next to banks. So we've got a bank over here, we might want to stick it here, but for now, let's just stick it like this. Now you might see these symbols on here. You pretty much do not want to cover these over because there are various events which will be scoring when they are triggered. So what else can we do next? We've paid our money, we've paid $4 to do that. We can also buy a building. Now you can buy a pre-printed building, which is going to be over here. So you'll pay $3, etc., or take one of these cards, which gives you an additional thing. So let's look at this card. This one, we're paying the cost, so it's going to cost $3. You're going to take that tile, bump this forward 2 positions. So now we've got a bit more, I guess, amenities for dancing and entertainment. During the profit phase, we'll talk about that in a bit. You are scoring $1 per symbol found as a tile, not on the individual thing. So, for example, that is one of those. We've got one out here. And what you're going to be doing is getting $1 for each profit phase. So let's take that card, take that little small thing, and once they've all gone, they're gone, and place it out on our board. Let's just chuck it out. Well, we don't want to stick it out here really because we won't get banking near to it. So we've got one next to it already. Let's just stick it there and pay our costs. That's something you can do. Everyone else can do that as well. You do not replenish these cards until the end of the round. But something else we could be doing is activating an event. So let's look through these events. So you could lose one population. Losing is good because it's more likely you're going to score points on those 3 different tracks. And then either do that or gain $3. Money is tight in this game, as is population. And then lose 1 population per university. So you might want to get some universities out first. The second one over there in the middle here is you may pay buy one of those things which normally cost you $4, those suburban tiles. Pay it for 1, then all players can gain 1 as well per train token they've got on their board. Next up, we have these activating event. So what's this representing? Well, at the end of era 1 or round 1, look for those trees. You are going to gain $1 for each tree symbol. Money goes on trees, perhaps. And around 2 for water. So you're losing a population per water, I guess sanitation. And around 3, you are gaining a point for each kind of like peak you've got on there. So a bit of health, and also gaining $1 per tree icon. So as you can see, I've got my little board down here. Hopefully I'm not going to cover those over, but sometimes I might have to. And then down here, we've got various other things too. So restaurant events, it seems about these various different types of amenities. Gain yourself on those 1x1 tiles down here. Again, apologies for the shake, it's because I'm obviously having to do this handheld. And then you are moving your orange marker to the right one space, or you can gain 3 victory points. Then every player is going to score those tracks. So that's basically, they work for all of them. You're going to see how many of these various symbols. And for your first game, you kind of want to focus on at most 2 of those different types of track. Again, flip over those cards. Once all 6 have been flipped over, so a few times now, that ends immediately that round of the game, the build phase. And now we are going to talk about these other things you actually could have done. So trigger an event, but let's just say you can enact an all once per round. So you move that marker down. And for example, again, imagine we hadn't triggered all those events. So maybe you've done some of them, but I haven't finished all of them. You can choose to lose 1 population and gain 4 victory points. Or maybe you want to gain $1 for every peak you've got in your neighborhood. Maybe that's more important to you at this point in the game, or maybe gain 8 victory points and gain a population. So there's various things you want to try and focus on. Obviously victory points or population loss, or maybe money. Like I said, money is tight and losing population is important to get some bigger points too. Then we do the profit phase, earn $5 for each of these in neighborhoods. So you've got yourself 1 bank, that's $5. More give you $5 per each bank. And then earn $1 or dollars for profit phase upgrade cards. So again, I've got one down here. Everyone's going to go through that as well and make sure they get the money. Then we do clean up. So you're going to refresh all those cards. That's all these construction cards for the round, replenishing them with the round 2 cards, etc. Reset all those tokens again. So make sure your thing is back in the top right of the board. Return the events. So make sure they're all back the other way up. And then update that round track. That's that red marker over here. And you move it down a step, increase your population by 12. And keep on going. So just let you know, the right hand side, this quality track, nothing over here can go beyond 5. If a player ever exceed 5 on a quality track, they instead immediately score $5, 5 victory points for each number that cannot be increased. And in the game, every $5 converts to a victory point. You're going to score every card labeled end of game. So for example, I've got this one here from a prior game and 2 victory points per tile, which has got a train on it. And then we've got all players are tied. You're also going to check whether the smallest population can win. Otherwise, it's a tie overall. So let's cover off a few more things before we get on to my thoughts on this one. Just make sure that obviously you keep an eye on money. Like I said, money is tight in this one. When you're looking to do scoring, again, you are looking to see how far along these tracks you are and your population. Because if your population is ahead of it, then you're basically taking that value off. So if it's more than 2, then you won't be scoring anything there. If it's equal to or greater than, or once you've taken off the difference, then you might be getting, if it's in position 2, you get yourself 14 victory points as an example. Now, I wish there's one typo in the rulebook. It says faux, not of, and on, I think, bottom of page 8. There's no 50-point track markers, so we did go beyond 50 points. So flipping these stars over to show a value would be nice, but as you can see, they do not. That's one element. Another thing would be the setup. It takes quite a long time to set up, and it takes up a lot of space. But the game is quick to play, it is smooth to play, and it's enjoyable to play. The art doesn't pop initially when you see it. It's not appealing to look at initially. But when you get going, it is quite, I guess, vivid. It's one way of looking at it. Again, variation on the different boards is nice. The fact that you can play different laws with each board. and I guess the starting neighborhoods to a nice 2. And yes, I did enjoy it. My rating would be a 7.5, so much higher than average. Average being a 6.4 at time of recording for over 3,000, obviously, board game reviews. This is by WizKids. I hope you found this video of interest. This has been designed, I think, by a bloke called Quinn, and I can see the name actually isn't on the front of the box for some reason, but I do know that there's a new version by Quinn coming out and WizKids in 2025, which is this year of release or year of recording, and that will be called Rebuilding Chicago. Any questions, always, like I said, do let me know via the comments best on YouTube. Speak again soon about this one, and listen to the podcast, Instagram, TikTok, X, Threads, and etc. for more images. But for now, Pioneer Square and Rebuilding Seattle. Enjoy the game. Back to the table.